For more than 100 years, in a small factory in Williamstown, West Virginia, workers made glass by hand, one glowing gather at a time, and shipped it into millions of American homes. It became the ruffled milk glass bowl on grandmother's shelf, the little hobnail basket by the front door, the hand-painted vase that came out only at Christmas. It was Fenton, America's most beloved art glass, and it was so common that almost no one thought of it as valuable. Then, in 2011, after more than a century of work, Fenton closed its furnaces for good. And the moment it did, collectors understood something the rest of the world had missed, that all of that everyday handmade glass would never be made again, and that certain pieces of it, sitting in plain sight in ordinary homes, are now worth hundreds, and a few worth many thousands of dollars. Fenton has become one of the most collected names in all of American glass, precisely because the story now has an ending. A century of handmade color that simply stopped. This is a countdown of 14 Fenton glass pieces that are quietly worth a fortune, and the reason so few people believe it is that most Fenton really is common. The white hobnail glass is everywhere, and it is cheap. But within that same beloved catalog, made in the very same factory, are pieces that separate from the pack completely, and what lifts them is a short list of things. The color of the glass, the decoration painted on it, the signature of the artist who touched it, and the rarity of the form. Learn those four, plus how to read the tiny mark on the base, and an ordinary-looking piece of grandmother's glass can turn out to be one of the most coveted objects in American art glass. And the piece at number 1 has sold for the price of a car, teased here and revealed at the end. Before the countdown begins, one quick favor. If there is Fenton glass in a cabinet somewhere in the house, turn a piece over, look for the oval Fenton logo or a foil sticker, and leave a comment with the color and any mark, and there is a real chance it can be sorted right here, from a common bowl to a hidden treasure. And subscribe before the cabinet closes again, because the list climbs steadily from this point on, and the last few pieces are the ones worth a genuine fortune. Coming in at number 14 is the piece almost every family already owns, the white hobnail milk glass. Those bumpy, opaque white bowls, baskets, and vases are the most common Fenton there is, and most sell for only $10 to $40. But number 14 is where every collector learns to date a piece of Fenton, and it is a beautifully simple system. Before 1970, Fenton put no permanent mark in the glass at all, relying only on a foil sticker, so an unmarked piece is not worthless. It may simply be old. From 1970 on, the company molded an oval logo with the word Fenton into the base, and beginning in the 1980s, it added a small number beside it, an 8 for the 80s, a 9 for the 90s, and so on. Learning to read that mark is the first real skill, and that single habit, turning a piece over before deciding it is worthless, is the foundation of everything, because the mark reveals the age, and the age often hints at the value. And the next line dresses the same glass up with ruffles. The next line trimmed its edges in ruffles, and it sits at number 13, the crest glass. Fenton's crest pieces feature a clear or colored ruffled edge applied by hand around a body of milk glass, and they came in named varieties, the common silver crest with its clear edge, and the scarcer aqua crest, rose crest, and emerald crest with their colored trims. Silver crest is affordable, $15 to $60, but the colored crests, especially the harder-to-find edges in good condition, climb well beyond that. The tell is the color of that applied ruffle and the crispness of the handwork, because a chipped or clouded edge cuts the value sharply. A rare crest color hiding among the common silver is exactly the kind of quiet upgrade collectors watch for. The crest lines were made across several decades, and the earlier hand-shaped ruffles tend to be more irregular and more charming than later production. Another small clue that rewards a close look. And the next glass trades white for real color. That brings the countdown to number 12, and to hobnail in living color. The very same bumpy hobnail pattern that is nearly worthless in plain white becomes far more desirable in color, and this is the base color rule that governs so much glass. The rarer the shade, the higher the value. Hobnail in blue, green, amber, and the various opaque and transparent colors trades from around $20 to $80 and beyond, with the scarcer colors and the larger forms reaching higher. The tell is simply the color, checked in good light, because a shape worth $10 in white can be worth many times that in an uncommon color. A colored hobnail basket or vase is proof that with Fenton, form is only half the story and color is the other half. Some hobnail colors were made only briefly or for a single season, and those short runs are exactly where a shape that looks utterly familiar turns out to be quietly scarce. And the next glass takes color one glowing step further. Number 11 belongs to the glass that glows, the opalescent hobnail. On opalescent pieces, the raised hobs and the edges fade to a milky, glowing white where the glass was reheated, and this luminous effect is prized. French opalescent, blue opalescent, and the beautiful topaz opalescent, a glowing yellow-green that itself often carries a trace of uranium, trade from around 40 into the many hundreds of dollars for the better pieces. The tell is that milky glow along the raised pattern, best seen with light coming through the glass, along with the color of the body beneath it. Opalescent Fenton is where the everyday hobnail shape becomes genuinely collectible, and it is a preview of the rarest opalescent pieces still to come. The topaz opalescent in particular has a following all its own, partly for that glow, and partly because a piece that lights up under an ultraviolet lamp confirms its vintage character in a single flash. And the next glass is soft, opaque, and often hand-painted. Settling in at number 10 is a soft, opaque favorite, custard glass. Custard is a creamy, pale, opaque glass, almost the color of its name, and Fenton used it as a canvas for delicate hand-painted flowers and scenes. Plain custard is modest, but decorated custard pieces, especially those with fine hand-painting, trade from around 30 into the low hundreds of dollars. The tell is the quality and condition of that hand-painted decoration, because the painting is fired on but can still wear, and a crisp, unfaded scene is worth far more than a rubbed one. Custard glass is a reminder that on Fenton, the artwork can matter as much as the glass. Fenton revived custard on and off over the years, so the decoration, the mark, and the style of the painting together help place a piece in time and set its value. And the next color is a deep, jewel-toned classic. The countdown reaches number 9 with a deep jewel red blush, cranberry glass. Fenton's cranberry glass, made by adding real gold to the batch to produce its glowing pink-red color, is one of the company's signature achievements and a longtime collector favorite. Cranberry pieces, from small vases to pitchers, trade from around 50 into the low hundreds of dollars, and cranberry combined with the opalescent effect climbs higher still. The tell is that unmistakable glowing red-pink held to the light, and the quality of the form, because cranberry was a premium glass even when new. A piece of genuine cranberry is never common, and it is a color the eye learns to spot instantly. Because real gold went into every batch, cranberry was expensive to make and was never turned out in the huge quantities of the everyday colors, which is a large part of why it holds its value so well. And the next glass shimmers like an oil slick. Number 8 shimmers like an oil slick, Fenton's Carnival Glass. Fenton was one of the great makers of iridescent carnival glass, both in the early 1900s and in later reissues, and its bowls, vases, and figural pieces carry that famous rainbow sheen. Common carnival trades from around $30 to $100, but the rarer colors and the early vintage pieces climb into the hundreds and well beyond. The tell is partly the color beneath the shine and partly the quality of the iridescence itself, because the early pieces have a lush, deep sheen that the later reproductions, still pretty, do not quite match. Knowing old from new here is worth real money. Fenton actually helped revive interest in carnival glass with its later reissues, which are collectible in their own right. But the early classic-era pieces in the rarer colors remain the true prizes. And the next pieces carry the hand of a named artist. Coming in at number 7 are the pieces that carry a signature, the hand-painted decorated glass. From the 1970s on, Fenton sold a great deal of glass hand-painted with flowers and scenes, and each piece was signed by the artist who decorated it. That signature is a powerful value driver, because collectors chase particular names, and a piece signed by a member of the Fenton family or a celebrated decorator can be worth substantially more than an identical unsigned one, sometimes many times more. The tell is the painted signature on the base and the identity behind it, along with the condition of the artwork. From here, the countdown leaves the everyday glass behind, because the final pieces are the ones collectors truly chase. And the next pieces bring a whole menagerie to the shelf. Number 6 brings the menagerie, the Fenton figurines. Fenton made a beloved line of small glass animals, birds, cats, bears, and more, many of them hand-painted and some issued only as limited editions or in special colors. Common figurines are affordable, but the limited editions, the rare colors, and the pieces signed by well-known artists climb from around 30 into the low and middle hundreds of dollars. The tell is the color and whether the piece was a limited or special issue, because a bird that is ordinary in one color can be a prize in another. A shelf of little glass animals is worth checking one by one, because the rare one looks almost exactly like the common one. Collectors often specialize in a single creature, chasing every color and variation of a particular bird or cat, and that focused demand is what drives the scarcer examples upward. And the next glass performs a small piece of magic. Settling in at number 5 is glass that changes color in the heat, rosaline and wisteria. These are among Fenton's specialty colors. Rosaline, a marbled pink that deepens where the glass was reheated, and wisteria, a delicate lavender, both far scarcer than the everyday shades. Pieces in these colors trade from around $75 into the several hundreds of dollars depending on the form and any decoration. The tell is the unusual color itself, because rosaline and wisteria simply do not look like the common Fenton palette, and a collector recognizes them instantly. These heat-sensitive and specialty colors are where Fenton's chemistry becomes genuinely collectible, and the next color is one of the most prized the company ever made. The countdown reaches number 4 with one of the most prized colors of all, Burmese. Burmese is a heat-sensitive glass that shades softly from a salmon pink at the top to a warm yellow at the base, a color so difficult and so beautiful that it commands real money. Fenton Burmese trades from around $100 into the low thousands, and hand-painted Burmese signed by a known artist reaches from $300 to $1,500 and beyond. The tell is that unmistakable pink to yellow fade combined with the artist's signature, because the signature alone can add half again to the price or more. Burmese is where color, decoration, and craftsmanship all meet at the top of the market, and the next pieces rise into a centerpiece. The centerpiece of the collection arrives at number 3, the cranberry opalescent Epernets. An Epernay is a tall, branching table centerpiece, and Fenton's cranberry opalescent hobnail Epernets, with their glowing horns rising from a bowl, are among the most beautiful things the company ever made and among the most collectible. A complete 4-horn cranberry opalescent Epernay in excellent condition trades from around $300 to $700 and beyond. The tell is completeness and condition, all the horns present and unchipped, fitted correctly to the base, because these delicate branching pieces are easily damaged and just as easily left incomplete. A complete glowing cranberry Epern is a showpiece worth real money, and the next color is the one Fenton is most famous for. Number 2 is the color Fenton is famous for, rich red. Fenton developed a deep, glowing red glass early in its history, a color so difficult to produce that genuine red pieces, including the celebrated Red Carnival and the rare Early Reds Collector's Prize, are among the highest valued in the catalog. Depending on the piece, genuine red Fenton trades from the low hundreds into the low thousands of dollars, with the rarest Red Carnival bowls and vases reaching the very top of that range. The tell is the true, saturated red held to a strong light, confirmed against the known forms, because red was reserved for special production and never made in the casual quantities of the common colors. A genuine red piece is one of the great Fenton finds, and that leaves the single most valuable Fenton of all, and that brings the countdown to number 1, the rare hand-painted lamps, the crown of all Fenton glass. Fenton made spectacular lamps, including the large 2-piece style known as Gone with the Wind lamps, their globes and bases hand-painted with roses and poppies, and these are the pieces that reach the very top of the market, a Red Carnival. Gone with the Wind lamp with roses has sold for around $1,700, a Vaseline topaz opalescent example for around $3,700, and a rare cranberry opalescent lamp from the 1950s sold for around $6,500. The tell is the rare color, the quality and condition of the hand painting, and the completeness of the two-piece lamp, because a chip or a mismatched part cuts deep into the value. It is the summit of a glass that began as everyday kitchen and parlor ware, and here is the quiet irony of number 1. The grandest thing Fenton ever made looks, to an unknowing eye, like nothing more than an old-fashioned painted lamp gathering dust in a corner. Look back across all 14 and one thread runs through every single piece. None of this glass announces itself. It was made by hand and sold cheap, and it sits on shelves and in cabinets looking like the most ordinary decoration in the house. And the entire difference between $10 and $10,000 comes down to a few things most people never check. The color of the glass, the decoration and the signature, the rarity of the form, and the mark on the base that dates it. The people who let fortunes slip away with Fenton almost never do it dramatically. They do it quietly, by boxing up grandmother's old glass for a yard sale, simply because no one ever taught them that the plain white bowl and the $6,000 lamp came from the very same little factory. So here is the one rule worth carrying away. Before any old glass leaves the house, before it goes in the donation box, before it is handed to a stranger for pocket change, turn each piece over, look for the oval Fenton mark or a foil sticker, study the color and any hand painting, and check for the signature of the artist. Never sell a piece of Fenton before checking. The difference between a $10 bowl and a $6,000 lamp is often nothing more than 30 seconds and a little bit of knowledge. One last question, because this glass has a way of shining quietly in nearly every family's cabinet. Which of these pieces is sitting on a shelf in the house right now? And be honest, which one was already sold or given away before its true worth was known? Leave it in the comments, because someone listening is about to go turn over their own piece of Fenton, and the next quiet fortune on a list like this one might be catching the light on the shelf all along.